Council meeting of August 29th, 2023 to order. Please stand for the national anthem. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples, acknowledging the One Bowl and Spoon Treaty. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Please note that these meeting proceedings are being broadcast live, recorded, and made available through the Township website and youtube.com. We hope to see everyone out enjoying the annual Marshville Festival on Labor Day weekend, and of course the Fall Fair, September 21st through 23rd. The NPCA board meets Friday, September 15th at 9 a.m. The next Transit Commission meeting is Tuesday, September 19th at 3 p.m. And our next regular meeting of council will be later that evening at 7 p.m. Are there any announcements or remarks from members of council? Councillor Wainfleet?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, thank you. In our correspondent package Friday, there was correspondence from the Firefighters Association just telling us all that the boot drive is going to be Labor Day weekend at Regional Road 24 and 27, otherwise known as Stop 24 corner there. And just wanted to say it's a great fundraiser and just wanted to acknowledge it. It's not a have to, but they put in a lot of effort.
Thank you. Are there any other remarks? Seeing none. Moving on to the adoption of previous council minutes. Are there any comments or corrections for the draft minutes from the regular meeting of council held August 8th, 2023? Seeing none, I have a motion that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held August 8th, 2023 be adopted as circulated. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councillor McClellan? Councillor Anderson? Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Okay, moving on to the public meeting, the drainage staff reports. DSR 010-2023, respecting the South Consolidated Drain. Number 10, engineering report. I'll ask our drainage superintendent, Mr. Jameson, to provide us with a brief overview of this report.
Great, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So drainage staff report 10 is in respect to the Consolidated South Wainfleet Drain number 10, which is in the area of Side Road 20. So this project was initiated by the Road Authority to improve road safety by enclosing the ditch, which is a rather large and steep ditch alongside Road 20. So the costing for this project was approved as part of the 2023 capital budget deliberations. So at this time, I'd just like to have Brandon Widner, the engineer, provide a brief presentation on the project.
Hear me now? I don't know if we have a plan of the watershed, or I'm going to say most of council probably knows where this project is, as it's located just over by Side Road 20. Mark's basically summarized everything. This project was initiated by yourselves. You all know there's an issue there. The ditch is rather deep along Marshville Village. I know staff's feelings where they wanted to go further, but we only have a certain amount of budget. So this doesn't go all the way up to what's called the soccer field, but it goes majority of the way. It's all one pipe. It's an enclosure. We have some manholes. The ditch will be backfilled. There'll still be a swale there, but it will be much safer than it is now. Again, everyone knows this is part of the larger, the Wainfleet system. This is just drain number 10. Essentially, we're going to start where the drain crosses over here, and then we go across, I believe, Park Street, and then it just continues up further. So the total cost of the project we have at $385,000 as the estimated cost. And Mark got it right. The municipality is assessed the entire cost. So we have a very simple drainage report. It's essentially, we're filling in the ditch and the municipality is paying for it. So everybody was notified that's in the watershed, which is a number of people, but essentially it's a municipal-driven project, and you're also on the hook for the future maintenance costs. So there's a fair bit of work in doing it, and that's why the cost is so high. There's a number of hydro poles to work around. There's a gas main. You know, we have some road restoration to do and some clearing, and it's not a simple project, but it will look much more appeasing when it's done, and it'll be much more safer, and it's a long-term solution. So I guess, does anyone have any questions?
Are there any questions? Councillor Wainfleet?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, this question is probably more for Richard. So during or after sometime, is there going to be a guardrail put up on the east side of 20 where the huge ditch is?
Through your worship, Councilor Van Vliet, the reason why we're filling it in, because right now it is very deep and dangerous. When we're completed the project all the way past Marsville, where the ball diamond entrance is, it does shallow up a little bit. So we're not as concerned, and it's a little bit further off the edge of the road. So we, right now, in this section that we're filling in, we're actually losing some of the edge of the road as well, because it is so deep and dangerous. That will be filled in, and there'll be a swale and a shallow ditch on top, which will not require a guardrail at all.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Through you, Mayor, thank you. Just as a point of interest, do you see any possibility of an overcosting on that?
You mean like our estimates inflated?
No. The numbers are okay, but do you see any reason why that would be an override on that? Any part of that questionable?
Well, it's a difficult project to put an estimate to. It's not the simplest job. Essentially, though, I can tell you, like, 30% of the project is supply of pipe, or almost 40%. And so we take the best we can from the supplier on what that will cost. As for the installation and the rest of the work, we look at similar projects, and, you know, we did reach out to a couple of your local contractors to get a bit of a grasp. But, yeah, I have a feeling that our estimate is very close, and you should be able to, let's say, do slightly better than that. I know this municipality always has, like, I know you guys did a lot of work in-house, and even on this project, I believe Richard's already secured a bunch of the fill, or it's around this area. You know, I'm thinking we're realistic, but as soon as it's tendered, we'll have a much better idea.
Thank you for the comment.
Any other comments or questions from council? Oh, seeing none. Okay, thank you. Are there any members of public that wishes to provide any comments? Okay. Again, thank you then. There's again no further discussions from council, so I'll put a motion on that the report DSR 01-2023 regarding the consolidated South Wainfleet Drain number 10 engineering report for consideration be received, and that a bylaw be given 2 readings to provisionally adopt the consolidated South Wainfleet Drain number 10 engineering report dated July 24th, 2023, prepared by Sprite Associates Engineers, or Engineerings and Architects under Section 78, Chapter D17 of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990, and that staff be directed to advance the South Consolidated Wainfleet Drain number 10 to that of the Court of Revision as per Section 46(1) of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990, and that Councillor Anderson, Councillor McClellan, and Councillor Van Fleet be appointed as members to the Consolidated South Wainfleet Drain, number 10, Court of Revision, and Councillor Gilmore be appointed as the alternate member to be tentatively scheduled for September 19th, 2023 at 6 p.m. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor McClellan, Councillor Van Fleet. Any discussion? Go ahead, Councillor Van
Through
Fleet.
you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not a member of the Drainage Committee anymore, and Councillor Gilmore is, so if he wants to switch positions with me, it's up to him.
Yeah, that's fine for this one. There's be an upcoming one that I'll have a conflict on, so I can't serve on that one, but Mark's aware of that, so that's fine with me.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. There being no other discussion, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay, we're moving on to delegations. We have Chief Executive Officer from Port Cares, Christine Clark-Lafleur, here to make a presentation respecting a request for an in-kind donation to use township facilities for a Wainfleet satellite food bank pantry. You have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Apologies. That's on? Yeah. Thank you very much for the invitation to attend this evening. I am Christine Clark-Lafleur, CEO of Port Cares. I'm here with my esteemed colleague, Amanda Upper, who's manager of our Reach Out Center and Housing and Homelessness Services. I want to thank members of council who have advocated for the position of poverty here in Wainfleet, particularly Mr. McClellan and Ms. Van Fleet. We have had meetings over the course of the summer, and that pre-discussion brings us here today. But as part of the contextual piece of our presentation, I'm just going to hit on a few highlights around the background of Port Cares and the relevance of poverty in South Niagara, including Port Colborne and Wainfleet. So with that, we've got a presentation before us, and I'll just jump right in. We can advance from here, or? Okay, I'll get you to do that, okay? Great, thank you. So again, I think many of you know about Port Cares, and we're clicking away here. There we go. Okay, so a little bit about, thank you very much, a little bit about Port Cares, our work, and into the future. Next slide. Again, I think many of you who have roots firmly planted in South Niagara, and if you go back as far as I do, you'll remember 1979 to 1985. And for me to understand my work at Port Cares, I had to take a look at this really pivotal period in time for South Niagara. And again, massive layoffs. I mean, INCO, again, shrunk from 23,000 people down to 14,000 and then down to 3,000. Unemployment was skyrocketing. There really wasn't anything back in the 79. I know I was at a high school and into university, but the internet didn't exist, so there was no connection. And most notably for this area, Wainfleet and Port Colborne, there was a huge rise in domestic violence. Domestic violence was prolific in the community. And concurrent with that, really going back to 1979, Port Colborne and Wainfleet had the highest levels of teenage pregnancies in Canada. And that's persisted for over 35 years. Certainly, in the case of Port Colborne, population has not rebounded back to what it was in 1982. So we began to see the first real generation of poverty. What do we do as a result? Well, a group of local people got together. They formed Port Cares, and they got it right. In 1986, they established the agency as a not-for-profit registered charity with a mission to improve quality of life. And they started as what most notably is a community service hub model, something that organizations across this country aspire to. So, kudos to that group in the mid-1980s who really got it right. But things steered off course in 2000, well, in the early 2000s, and Port Cares wasn't in great shape. A lot of trouble with debt, a lot of operating surpluses, no compensation plan, but we're going to fast forward to what happened since. Really over the course of the 9 years, and certainly my term, we've turned the organization around. We've more than doubled the operating budget. We got rid of millions of dollars of debt. We paid off all of the properties. We are serving more people than ever before. We own our main street, our main site at 92 Charlotte, the Reach Out Center at Nickel Street, which if you've been there, you'll see a lovely expansion. Properties along Nickel Street, and most notably, if you've been out to Dairy Queen and looked behind, you'll see a building rising from the area, and that's a 41-unit affordable housing project with deeply affordable units, 41 units for low-income seniors from Port Colborne and Wainfleet, and female-led single-parent families, fully funded at $16 million, and to fill an incredible need. And I wouldn't be here today sharing that without the amazing support of Rankin Construction, who, if you speak to John after the meeting, I'm sure he'll tell you a little story about how some things happened, but an incredible undertaking that will serve a critical need. So, you know, when we looked at 2023, our organization functions on pay-for-performance contracts, and we hit our targets. But most importantly, we are meeting the need for charitable services for poverty relief in the food bank. Next slide. Our mission really hasn't changed in close to 40 years. It's to help those in the community with social and economic needs improve their quality of life. Our vision, and this one is particularly important to me personally, is that we inspire and provide help, hope, and opportunity for all in the community to achieve their potential. Our values guide everything we do, our day-to-day work, our programs, everything. And what's critical here is that we provide help without judgment. It's not our place to judge, it's our place to help. We're accountable to one another. We treat everyone with respect. And importantly, we work collaboratively together. People think we just, serve people of low income, but we don't. We serve all spectrums of life. We have a huge child development program, the biggest in the region. We're the biggest provider, bigger than the school boards, bigger than the Y, bigger than Family and Children's Services with child development. And that's for all families at 8 different centers across Niagara. We help, and again, from infants right through to seniors. We help people who are looking for employment. We help employers with job placements. And again, that spectrum of the economy from, people who are struggling with low income right through to the most affluent families that are struggling with addiction, mental health. We do the connections for them. So again, we serve everyone. I had to explain this to my mom before she passed, and I had a really hard time, so I drew this model. All of our people that we serve are in the middle. Everything we do is around person-centered care. On the interventional side, when things get really rough, right, you go through a marital breakup, you lose your house, you lose your job, you've got to turn to the food bank for help. And right now we're seeing more seniors than ever in our history. Well, we want to get you back onto the other side where you can look for a job, you get some training, you get some help with your parenting skills. And again, we recognize that life is a very delicate balance, and sometimes you can slip and fall. Our goal is to get you back on your feet. And it's not just us, we also have other partners. So there's an array of partners that actually, that have office space and service delivery at our locations. Next slide. And again, so I think we'll just gloss over this litany of core services because we do a lot. We are certainly more than a food bank. And I'll let you skip over to the next one and turn it over to you, Amanda.
Thank you so much, Christine. And so it's, of course, important for everyone to be aware of what they're inviting or potentially inviting into their own community, where we are asking council to consider working with us to bring the Wainfleet Food Bank Satellite Pantry into existence. It's a whole lot more than a food bank, essentially, as Christine would have illustrated through the beginning of the presentation. So specifically talking about Wainfleet and the need in Wainfleet. Over the past 24 months, through our food bank, we have served 235 Wainfleet households. That represents 901, so almost 1,000 individual food bank visits. The family demographics, we have a little bit of information for you there. The breakdown, singles at 18.5% almost, couples at 26.3%, And then families. So families, as you'll see, the smaller families, 3 to 4, 39.5% of those households, and families 5 to 6 or more members, 15.8%. We have a database that we use across all food banks who are members of Food Banks Canada, which we are. We are also members of Feed Ontario. Through these agencies, we have resources, whether it is allocations of food, training, standards of practice. It speaks to the credibility. We're not just, the back of a truck handing out food. We have standards to adhere to. We track client data in a secure database, again, used by other food banks, and that allows us to provide this information that we're providing here. Of those 235 households in the past 24 months, 130 visited food bank for the first time. So that was kind of a shock to me that more than half over the past 24 months have never had to come to food bank before. But lo and behold, for various different circumstances, there is the need. The age demographics of those individuals that have been served, again, 0 to 6, 0 to age 17. That's 31.5% of the individuals from Wainfleet that we've served through the food bank are children under 18. So we're looking after the most vulnerable. Christine spoke to the seniors, and of course we do see a lot of seniors, but we're also looking after the children that have had no choice, power, or control over their circumstances, and certainly just trying to do the humane thing to make sure that nobody goes hungry. Forgot I have to change my own slides here. And so what we're asking is to help us bring these services to those Wainfleet residents' doorsteps. We anticipate we will see the increasing need just as we are in our doors at the 61 Nickel Street site. We're already seeing more Wainfleet registrations just in the past several weeks. I've heard from various different food bank clients that they used to go to West Lincoln for food support, and now West Lincoln is turning them over to Port Cares. The concept of the satellite food bank pantry is, again, because of that increase, it's certainly nothing unique to South Niagara. It's across Canada that we're experiencing this increased need for food security. And of course, because of the socioeconomic conditions, rising costs of living, folks who are even working are just struggling to be able to keep that roof over their head, keep the utilities in check, and feed their families. This satellite food bank pantry could only proceed with the support from the township in the form of an in-kind donation for the facilities. So as Christine mentioned, there has been some preliminary discussions and meetings, and at that time, a space was looked at in the Memorial Hall, which was just a room, just our 4 walls, might have needed a door. It was a little less than 10 foot by 10 foot, but it would have made do. Through the meetings that we had, we understand there's some reconstruction going on in the former fire hall and want to bring this forward at this time for consideration, because if a space is fit in that's more than just that little space that's available right now in the community hall, that allows us more space to bring those other services and other supports right here to our doorstep here in the township. So with the support of the Port Cares Reach Out Center staff and volunteers, the team that's in existence, we could stock that pantry. We can take registrations on the spot or in advance. We can make appointments to have Wainfleet residents come here and access the food bank. The ideal space, about 10 by 10, would be would have an access door, ideally off of the main entrance, but doesn't have to be. And with reasonably close access to the parking lot, of course, for the groceries. We're in a pre-packed format currently, even in our food bank site right now. We pre-pack the non-perishable groceries according to the household size. So the larger the household, the more groceries they would receive. We would stock that pantry and keep it stocked as we distribute the food right from our own back doors here. And so that's the gist of it. And of course, right now we could take any questions or anything you see fit.
Thank you. And so thank you for your presentation. Do I have any comments or questions for our delegation from members of council? Councilor McCullen, go ahead first.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, what days, like this would be open 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 2 days a week? What's
You want me to jump in? I'll turn over to
Yeah.
you. I think we would work with you in collaboration. I think it would not be a sort of an open season. We have to have some controls. We've done that in Port Colborne for the last 9 years to make the best use of our resources. So we do the pre-pack, and we even sometimes pre-schedule meetings. So it's really around or pre-schedule visits, but it's really around the communication with the clients. But we don't see it as a 5-day-a-week operation. In our preliminary discussions, we've talked about up 2 to 3 days, and again, supported by volunteers, because there's a level of responsibility with the people who use the food bank. We know it's a quid pro quo. These are the times that are open. If there's really, really difficult circumstances, we work around that, but it's also important to build autonomy and independence to say, this is when we're going to do this, and everybody, chip in and make it work.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, through the Mayor. Is there, in the storage area, is there a need for refrigeration, storage, et cetera?
No, for the purposes of the satellite, we would be working strictly with non-perishable food. That's all that we would store in the actual room. Come the time when we are heading over for the appointment to meet with the client, we may bring some perishable if available, but that would not be stored on site strictly.
Just so I understand the process, I'm sorry. So do the folks come in and shop like a store, or do they come into a I would like to get, and they come in for a box pickup?
Yes, so it would be pre-packed according to the household size. There would be communication through the Reach Out Center team to register the client, arrange for the appointment, at which time we would get all the information that we would as a part of our regular intake process into our database to be tracked.
And if I could follow up, just an additional piece of information is that we shifted to this model, obviously, during the pandemic to serve we're now closing in on double the number of people where we were in January of even 2021. When did the pandemic end? I know as of April 1st, 2022, we had 1,762 registrants, and as I stand here today, there are now 2,843 in the course of the last 15 months. So we had to work smarter to be able to handle that volume of people, because the lineups were so long to do the store shopping, and we couldn't maintain the non-contact given size and just physical distancing. But to Amanda's point, when a client has unique needs, lactose or gluten, that's all pre-discussed, and we do accommodate for that.
Thank you, through the Mayor. So the families, if they have a visitor or the need to bring a parent in to help look after the parent for a section of time, they just get added on for help?
Of course, absolutely. Anyone in that household, so long as they're able to provide the information for our registration, we'll include them. Absolutely.
Go ahead, Councillor Gilmore.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for the presentation. Just a question about delivery. Do you provide delivery? Like it's one thing to be in an urban setting when you have public transit. I mean, we don't have that here. We probably never will. But is that something that you would coordinate? Like if someone said, I'm going to deliver to anybody who needs it on a given day, is that?
Well, I'll start off, and if you could, we have not historically provided delivery circumstances, but to services rather, but when I say that, I can tell you that for those unique situations when we have shut-ins, we arrange that through contacts and services, but as an agency-wide service delivery system, we don't have that. And I completely understand what you're saying, because this is just like the West Lincoln situation where people are very, very spread out. We're almost baby steps in this process. We felt it was important to bring this forward given the volume of people from Wainfleet, and I think you're probably just as surprised as I am that it's 900 visits, and nobody would have thought that for this community. But when you think about the people who have to travel under our current setup, those are, that's income that they could use to feed themselves instead of pay for the gas to come to the food bank or to use a friend or a family member to support them. So I kind of look at this as more as a first step, and we need to check in with it to see how it evolves, because it's rapidly changing. I mean, we would never have expected the pace of need to be as virulent as what it is right now 2 years ago. But again, food inflation is driving it, and incomes, particularly fixed incomes when it comes to government benefit, are not changing. So really a first step is to provide something closer to home for the Wainfleet residents and families who need some assistance.
Right. Oh. No?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. All right. Thank you, guys. At this time, we will receive this and refer this back to staff to give us a report on what they have found, because we know you guys have been working together. Definitely love the idea. Just want staff to come back and tell us the best possible outcome for it. That's all. So thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Oh, Councillor Wainfleet, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Timeline, so that we can, what kind of timeline are you guys looking at? I mean, I know, but maybe the public should know.
Yeah, we're open. I mean, certainly the service would have been needed yesterday. We basically, dive in and fix things as they emerge. So we would work collaboratively with the township on a timeline that's reasonable, for Wainfleet. We certainly know the need is now, and again, having said that, we want to be able to, have all the pieces in place to do this right. But we can rapidly mobilize. We do have quite a cadre of support.
You sure do. Now, would you need volunteers from Wainfleet? Is that something we'd put up on our socials for you?
That would be fantastic, because it is really all about community. I mean, I certainly would think that there would be a number of people who would, reach out and provide assistance to their neighbors here in Wainfleet.
Okay. Thank you. Awesome idea.
Perfect. Okay, so do I have a mover and a seconder for that motion? Councillor McCullen, Councillor Van Fleet, any further discussion? Seeing none, then I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, so we are now moving on to the consent agenda. We have 2 items listed on the consent agenda this evening. Those items are A, the memorandum respecting the consolidated South Wainfleet Drain Court of Revision minutes and bylaw. B, the memorandum respecting the appoint of manager and financial planning deputy treasurer. Are there any items that council wishes to be removed from the consent agenda for discussion? None? Okay. So I have a motion that the following items be received and that the recommendations contained therein be approved and acted upon. A, the memorandum respecting the consolidated South Wainfleet Drain Court of Revision minutes and bylaw. B, the memorandum respecting the appointment of manager and financial planning deputy treasurer. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor McClellan, Councillor Van Fleet, any other discussion? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I think this is council's first opportunity to utilize the consent agenda, so there really is not a lot to be discussed. However, it is also a very special occasion because joining us today we have Mr. Cameron Hart, our new manager of financial planning and deputy treasurer for the township. Mr. Hart started with us a couple weeks back, and today will be his first council meeting of many more to come. Today will be his appointment bylaw, which is referenced in one of those consent agenda items, and the bylaw will come later in the meeting. So just like to take this opportunity to introduce you to Mr. Hart and look forward to working with him over the coming months and years. Months for me, years for everyone else.
Don't listen to Will. He's not retired. Okay. Okay. So that being said, do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor McClellan? Oh, I did that? Oh, sorry. It's written like 3 times right here. So, okay. So I will just call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried.
Congratulations.
Again.
Okay. Okay, so we're moving on to staff reports and recommendations. There are none. So we are going to move on to the review of correspondence. It's A, Dolores Fabiano, the Executive Director of Port Colborne Wainfleet Chamber of Commerce, respecting the request for co-sponsoring for Coffee Club. Is there any discussion from this item of correspondence? Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. If I'm to understand that, they would like a co-sponsorship, and they want to do it weekly, like once a month.
Yeah, I believe it's going to rotate back and forth from Wainfleet, like a location in Wainfleet to a location in Port Colborne. Yeah.
So my only question is the visitation sort of through population. So Port Colborne might have a coffee club of population of 28,000 people, and we have 6,000 people, of which a third of them don't drive. So I'm just wondering about doing, 26 visits here and 26 visits there, if there's an efficiency in that in the sense of usage. That's just my question.
I will ask the clerk to speak.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to all of council. Yeah, I think this is going to be a kind of a wait and see. So if council agrees to do the coffee club, we will have a better idea of how many people will come out and what the benefit will be for Wainfleet. So again, it's in council's hands whether you want to entertain this idea or not, but we won't know until we make a decision.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just to build on that a little bit, I think the intent of the sort of coffee club is to provide an opportunity for the chamber, along with members of council, to sort of meet on a regular and recurring basis with the business community, members of business, members of the public that may be interested in business, and it's just sort of a meet and greet. And the expectation or hope is that in addition to having the township sort of hosting on a given occasion, that we have members of council in attendance to be able to mingle with the business owners, with the members of the public that may be coming in to meet with either council or the business owners, so on and so forth. So really it is sort of an outreach program intended to sort of allow people to communicate, get together, excuse me, and discuss issues and activities and initiatives and everything else. So again, that sort of builds on, I think, what's being proposed at this time.
Councillor Wainfleet, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. What would the cost of this be to the township?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm not sure if Meredith, I don't think we have an exact number, but I guess part of the coffee club involves providing a venue, providing coffee, and providing a place to sit down and talk. So if, for example, we were able to hold the event at one of our facilities, such as the community hall or the Moore Room, we could be able to sort of provide in-kind contribution in the way of the location. We would then provide the cost of the coffee and the sort of refreshments, and that would be happening on a monthly, bi-monthly basis. In addition to providing a municipal venue, there is also the option to look to or meet with other businesses that provide services within the community. So there may be restaurants within the township or other businesses that may want to host from time to time, to sort of provide them an opportunity to become the sort of focus of attention. So if those businesses are able to provide their venue free of charge, great. They're members of chamber. They're able to provide those. We have that opportunity, and then perhaps we're just covering the cost of the coffee or the refreshments. So it's not a significant cost by any means. And again, it's, as I say, an outreach opportunity that lets the sort of municipality, the council, sort of meet with the businesses meet with the public, et cetera.
Any other comments or questions?
Truly, this is sort of some direction from council. Is this something that you want us to explore further, participate in, give a trial run, and see where things go? We're at your direction on that. Again, keeping in mind that the hope is that once these events start happening, that we could perhaps have some members of council attending to sort of become a signal of the township's commitment to the program.
Councilor Gilmore, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I don't really see much downside to this. It's worth giving it a try. If it doesn't work, then they'll just stay in Port Comer. So, how about it?
So, perfect. So a motion to give it a trial run, seconded by Councilor McCullen. Yeah. Any other further discussion? Seeing none, then I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to bylaws. So I have a motion that the following bylaws be read and passed this 29th day of August 2023. A bylaw number 024-2023 being a bylaw to provide for an updated schedule of assessment for the consolidated South Wainfleet drain pursuant to Section 76 of the Drainage Act, third and final reading. B, the bylaw number 034-2023 being a bylaw to appoint a manager of financial planning / deputy treasurer for the corporation of the Township of Wainfleet. C, bylaw number 035-2023 being a bylaw to appoint a manager of accounting, deputy treasurer for the corporation of the Township of Wainfleet. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor McCullen? Councilor Gilmore? Any discussion? Seeing none, I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. Okay, now I have a motion that bylaw number 033-2023, being a bylaw to provide for drainage works in the Township of Wainfleet, the consolidated South Wainfleet Drain number 10, pursuant to Section 78 of the Drainage Act, be given a first and second reading this 29th day of August 2023. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor McCullen, Councilor Van Fleet, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Are there any notices of motion from members of council? Nope. Okay. So then I now have a motion that council now move into closed session to discuss an item under section 239-2C of the Municipal Act 2001, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. One item, a potential disposition of land matter. B, item under section 239-2E of the Municipal Act 2001, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before an administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board. Two items, update on litigation matters. C, item under section 239-2K of the Municipal Act 2001, a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. One item, a matter pertaining to MOU negotiations. And then D, the minutes of the closed meeting of council held August 8th, 2023. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Counselor Gilmore, Counselor McClellan. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed, and that is carried.